Heads of Europe's top leagues meet in Spain to tackle increased football violence shortly after thousands in Rome attended the funeral of an Italian football fan shot dead by a policeman. What drives hooliganism and can governments control it? This is Inside Story. Hello, I'm Imran Gavda. Officials from Italy, Spain and England have agreed to pass a 10-point plan to combat hooliganism, including tighter ticketing rules and increased video surveillance.
Today is a really important day, especially with what's gone off in Italy, and the European leagues have fully supported Italy in their struggle against violence. We don't condone violence.
Now, the move comes after Italian football fan Gabriele Sandri died when a policeman shot him on Sunday, prompting riots in the country. It's a high-profile incident, and although 16 people have died due to football violence in Italy since 1992, hooliganism is an issue many European countries face. Some problems football hooligans cause include fighting before and during matches and hurling objects onto football pitches. While some European countries with sports hooliganism problems have passed laws to deal with them. In April, Italy passed measures aimed at combating hooliganism. Tickets can no longer be block booked, and suspected hooligans can now be banned from stadiums, even if they haven't been convicted of a crime. Research suggests there's a link between alcohol and hooliganism, and in the United Kingdom, consuming alcohol in stadiums is now banned. The UK has pioneered anti-hooliganism measures. The government has enacted several laws preventing convicted or suspected hooligans from travelling to international games, and known troublemakers must now report to the police and hand in their passports before big overseas matches. Well, joining us to discuss this issue are our guests in Düsseldorf, Andreas Piastowski, Senior Police Officer and Head of the Central Sports Intelligence Unit, and also a member of the working group that prepared the anti-hooliganism strategy for World Cup 2006 in Germany. In Bologna, Ashley Green, coordinator of Progetto Ultra, an NGO dedicated to protecting football fan culture. And in Milan, also in Italy, John Foote, expert in Italian football and author of Calcio, a history of Italian football and reader in modern Italian history. Welcome, gentlemen. Mr. Foote, if I could start off with you, who do you think is to blame for Gabriele Sandri's death?
Well, Gabriele Sandri's death was a question of police overzealous policing and the shooting of somebody in a car when he was driving down a motorway. So I think in some ways it's very much not to do with football, but to do with other issues of public order in Italy. However, it is to do with football because he was a fan. There'd been some fighting just before the incident, and the tension between the state, the police and the organised Italian football fans has been rising really over the last 2 years, but also over a very long period of time, ever since the death of a policeman in rioting in February in Sicily.
Ashley Green, the leaders of Europe's top leagues have come out with this 10-point plan and a sort of slogan: prevention, cooperation, sanctions. Now, do you think this is just lip service or a serious endeavour to solve the problem of football violence?
Let's just say that I don't think it's the first time we've been tackling the problem, we've been dealing with this problem. What I've seen in Italy for the last 15 years is only sanctions. Sanctions and really not too much prevention, and strategy based only on repression and on actually containing violence, not on using social strategies to work against it.
Mr. Piastowski, do you agree?
I think prevention plays a major role in solving football hooliganism, but also when it comes to repression or policing, that is also a part you have to take care of.
Do you think that one of the big problems, sir, is that the police are treated as the enemy?
Well, here in Germany, as far as I can say, we don't support this approach, because we want to be partners also in security, and therefore we train our officers in communication with all the football supporters, especially the violent ones, because communication between police and fans plays a major role.
Do you think the Hazel disaster of 1985 was maybe a catalyst for at least some change? Do you think that authorities took hooliganism and the problem of violence in football a lot more seriously after that?
It definitely was like that in Germany because we never faced these catastrophes, but ever since Heysel and Hillsborough 89 in England, our ministers of interior, they start to talk about it, and ever since then, at the beginning of the 90s, we took an approach, an orchestrated approach with all parties involved in security matters.
John Foot, in Milan, we've seen UEFA slap bans on teams. Do you think clubs should be held responsible for the behaviour of their fans?
Well, up to a point. I think the clubs have a responsibility for what's been going on in Italy, not just over the last 6 months, but over the last 20, 25 years. One of the key problems in the Italian game are the stadiums, which are old and also covered in barriers, bars, cages, all the kinds of thing which led to Hillsborough in 1989, the deaths of many fans. I think they're also very dangerous. And the clubs have also been hand in glove with many of the more violent fans who blackmail them in various ways. So I think the clubs have really got to take a stand. They've got to create stadiums along with the state, which are places where people actually want to go and just watch a football match. Places that are pleasant, places where families can go to. And I think in Italy, that's really the key question, is to create a stadium which is a new kind of place, which has happened in England over the last 20 years.
Ashley Green, are you optimistic that this can happen in the future, or is happening in maybe in a small scale?
I think that stadiums are vital. I think that I'm happy that Mr. Foot also agreed that there is a connection between what happened to Gabriele Sandri and the death of the shooting of him on the highway and what happened later is connected. I think that there are many things we need to do. First of all, in general, we definitely need to change the atmosphere and release the tension that's going on right now in football, inside and outside of stadiums, and especially between the police and the fans and the ultras. That's the name in Italy. Right now, the situation has not been taken into attention, and all that's been done has led to what we saw on Sunday night, and has led to what you were talking about before, about the police being seen as the enemy, and any type of smaller or larger episode. And I think we got the worst thing on Sunday morning with the death of the fan. Any small thing, any episode leads to an escalation of violence inside and outside
And the Italian
stadiums.
authorities cancelled games. Do you think that cancelling fixtures helps in any way?
I think that cancelling fixtures does not help. I don't think that prohibiting fans from going to watch a football game, taking part in a football game, whether individually or as a group, can work. That's what authorities are doing right now. Apart from the fact that I don't think it's constitutional, it's actually limiting one's own freedom of movement, of attending a football game. I don't think that's the solution. It's actually counter effect. It's getting things in even a worse level, because you don't have anything left to do apart from creating trouble. The football game in itself is the most important moment for any football fan, even for ultras. Taking part in the game, displaying their choreographies, their elements, like banners and flags, which are now prohibited, that's the positive part of the fan culture. Taking that away has led to violence being the only thing that's left to do for a football fan at the football stadium.
John Foot, how blameworthy do you think is the media, particularly tabloid newspapers, in maybe exacerbating the problem? Before England played Germany in England, we saw some tabloid newspaper headlines evoking memories, remnants of World War II. Do you think that that is a big part of this in stoking the violence?
I think the media has a very important role to play. I think they feast off the violence and kind of encourage it in some ways, as it makes good television. And this debate is also part of that culture. If I might come back on something that was just said, I don't think we want to paint the ultras as kind of angels who are being repressed by the police. I think we need to remember that the idea of banners and choreography is all very well, and I like a lot of that, but this has been abused systematically, this freedom over the years. You've had lots of very racist banners and all kinds of far-right politics infiltrating themselves into the Kurva. And I think it would be wrong to say that the problem is only one of the clubs and only one of policing. I think it's also one that the ultra have to look at themselves and their own behaviour, and some sort of self-criticism about what's gone on with the ultra themselves also has to be carried out, I think, for things to change.
Interesting that you mentioned, sorry to interrupt you, you mentioned racism there. I want to go to Mr. Piastowski because in Germany, sir, football hooliganism has sometimes been linked to neo-Nazism and racism. I wonder, what's the link between hooliganism and racism? Are they intertwined?
No, you really cannot say that. We have some link between racism and nationalism and football, but that are very few, because you cannot prevent these people from being football fans as well. But we never had incidents in a very large amount that was connected with racism, just using provoking speeches or something like that to draw the attention of the media. That's what they do, but it's not really a movement within the fans.
All right, gentlemen, don't go away. Time for a short break. When we come back, we look into hooligan groups, how they function, what holds them together, and examine the depth of their influence in European societies. Do stay with us.